This is The Morning Drive with me, Tim Elliott, and this morning we're talking advertising, very broadly advertising across the GCC. I suppose the emphasis, as it usually is in these kinds of conversations, is going to be much more about digital and the advance of social media, etc. But a little bit broader than that is the hope. I'm very pleased to be joined by the president of Arabia for BPG, and that is Tim Baker, who is an old friend of mine, but it's very nice to see you.
Very nice to see you, Tim. Thank you.
Really good to have you back. I should sort of fill in the background. You were based here in the Emirates. You co-founded a digital agency called Hug. You were here for many years. You left, went back to the UK. You're now back, based in Riyadh with BPG. So congratulations. I guess loving the challenge, but I have to start with what brought you back?
I feel it was some unfinished business, actually. So I had 15 amazing years in the Middle East, as you said, based in Dubai. Went on a journey of building Hug, which was a digital agency.
Yeah.
We sold that to WPP.
Right.
And then I had 5 years back in the UK. And if I'm honest, I kind of missed the hustle. I missed advertising. I missed the hustle.
That kind of sums you up. You are a man who hustles.
I like to hustle. But on top of that, as you mentioned, I'm based in Riyadh.
Yeah.
And actually, I've been traveling to Saudi Arabia since 2005.
Yeah.
And it felt like the right time to be there and be a part of what's happening in the advertising world.
I mean, it's a good time to be there, isn't it? I mean,
it's a fantastic time to be there.
It's a challenging time, lots going on, lots of changes, and an industry that, I mean, I will go through some of the figures a little bit later, but there's a lot to do.
Yeah, there is a lot to do, and I think for me personally, the size and the scope of Saudi Arabia and the opportunity that represented is why when I chatted to Avi Bajani, the founder and CEO of BPG, he said, "Where would you want to be?" And I said, "I want to be in Riyadh because that's where it's happening right now."
Yeah, okay. And I mean, I know BPG, or Bates Pangolf as they were known from time in publishing, and I know them more as a PR agency. I think that's where they kind of come from originally, and then an advertising agency. Kind of back in the day, but I mean, there's so much more. You got to have a few more strings to your bow now, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, their kind of core foundation in the 80s was certainly PR, and they were instrumental in helping to build Brand Dubai, created things like the Dubai Shopping Festival.
Right.
So, they worked on some seriously big PR-based campaigns back in the day. But with the evolution of advertising, everything's become. Now BPG is a full-service agency. It's got customer experience and digital at its core, and like everyone in the industry, we've had to adapt in order to be ready for what and how consumers are digesting media and content.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you've had to move. But PR, I suppose, I've been thinking about this. PR is kind of a pillar, isn't it?
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
industry, really, it's kind of where everything sort of starts. It emanates from public relations, really.
Yeah, I think when you are talking about big announcements, big achievements, big projects, PR fundamentally sits at the heart of that. So you're talking with authority, whether that's around people or projects or achievements.
Yeah.
And I think, PR is incredibly powerful. However, the extension to that now is where are the consumers? And if I think about Saudi Arabia, where you've got 60% of the population under the age of 30, most of them are online. So one way or another, we need to be there where they are, and we need to be communicating in a context that works for them, with content that appeals to them, and we need to keep them engaged and coming back to what we're trying to talk to them about or sell them or engage them with.
I want to talk to you in a little bit more detail about the online space and social media advertising. I mean, it's something like 75% of the market, the advertising sector market now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you look at Saudi Arabia and the growth that we're seeing, particularly when it comes to advertising, the market estimated These are old figures, a couple of years ago, but I know that these are reliable figures. Something like $2 billion was the market then. I know it's changed now, it's up now. Digital transformation taking a hold. Ad spend grew something like 20% last year. You're nodding, so I'm thinking I'm getting this almost right, which is good. But it really is the lion's share. It's around 75%. And, digital spend, one of the fastest growing in Saudi Arabia, one of the fastest growing advertising markets globally as well. Something like number 4, I think.
Yeah, it is one of the largest. And again, that kind of stems, if you think about the evolution of Saudi Arabia, content for the youth generation was being sourced online. So, they wanted to access Western content, movies. So 10 years ago, that was being accessed online. So you had a natural high penetration of digital devices.
Yeah.
With the onset of social, they're more exposed and wanting to digest more content. And so that's where the audience is now.
Well, it's where the demographics are as well, isn't it? And you pointed to this just now. Median age is 30. So you get why social media advertising and the penetration of social media is so important.
Yeah.
That's a lot younger than the US median age. Much, much younger, 14 years younger than Europe. And if you put that with internet adoption rate, something like 99.4% or something, everybody's into this. It crystallizes how important social is.
Correct. Social's been around for 20 years, slightly over 20 years actually. And
well, you were very early digitally, Tim, as well. I give you some credit there.
We were.
So 2010?
We established in 2010, and at that point, back in the day, we were building VR applications inside Facebook. That's not something you can even do now, but it was an experimental sort of playground for how do we use technology to engage customers whilst planting brands within it. So we had a lot of fun with that. Obviously now there's a lot of new kind of paradigms within the social and digital space. So things like the onset of influencers, the power of influencers. So, these digital celebrities that people follow and follow at their every move, and will look at the products they're consuming and will try and mirror their behavior. And as well as that, they're engaging with the rest of that influencer's followers. So they're trying to be part of a tribe and meet people like them. So that's just one kind of paradigm, influencers, but there's the type of content we're using. The biggest thing right now is AI. If we
I knew that would come up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's interesting because I'd taken a slight break from advertising. I've been in the UK for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
AI wasn't here, certainly within advertising.
AI wasn't here last week.
It wasn't.
It's now everywhere.
It is everywhere.
It
And again, I think when we think about digital communication, as an advertising professional, we're having to try and keep pace with it. So not only is it changing the way I execute in my daily life, the biggest impact is how consumers are digesting.
Yeah, okay. No, I get you. I mean, it's interesting that you say when you started, it was experimental. Digitally, integrating VR into Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But it sort of strikes me that that's kind of the way you think. You're willing to sort of look at something and think, how can I apply this? Rather than, these are the rules, this is what I need to do. Your attitude, and I mean this as a compliment, this is kind of backhanded, we'll get there.
Okay.
But your approach is, how can I utilize this tool? How can I make this work? What do I need to do to make this effective?
Yeah, I think that's what keeps my interest in advertising.
As a creative mindset.
As a creative mind, or for people who work with technology, it's there to be broken and rebuilt. The only additional layer in advertising is within whatever we're experimenting on, we need to plant a brand at the heart of that somehow. And we need to remember that ultimately we're trying to drive a product sale or a service or an interaction with a product that's going to be positive. So as well as experimenting and playing and testing and trying and being innovative, actually what digital has done is make advertising people far more accountable. We need to use the data to prove results, whether that's sales or leads or engagement, whatever the metrics are that we're trying to work with. There's no hiding. It's not about sticking a 30-second TVC, pushing it out and saying it's seen by 200 million people across the Arab world. That still happens, of course, and there's still a place for that. But if we come down to digital, we're under more and more pressure from clients to say, did that work? Did that strategy work? Did that creative work? Did that ad derive the leads that we need to get people to do whatever we're trying to make them do?
It's about return on investment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And, that hence the rise of kind of performance marketing, I suppose. But was it the case, if I can ask you a really open question, was it the case that it was, we'll get this in front of as many eyes as possible, and it will be subliminal, and there will be an effect here? Was that a little bit the case previously? Because you can't take an attitude like that now, can you? Really?
I'm
not saying
one can, because there is a role for awareness-based media, which is what you've described. So if we created a new product tomorrow, the first thing I need to do is get as many eyeballs to have heard about that brand as possible. So that's the awareness piece. Okay. We then move into affinity. I want them to like my brand. I want them to, how do they like their brand? And let's just assume it's a drink. We want them to trial it. So they need to work out where can they get hold of it. We want them to taste it. Only then, once they've been made aware of it, found it, tasted it, are they then going to judge, do they want to be a repeat customer? So even though we're in a world that's very digitalized, coming back to your question, there's still a role for awareness, mass awareness. The only difference is now we can achieve mass awareness through digital as well. Yeah. But it's not the end of TV. It's not the end of outdoor. Those other mediums certainly have a role to play, depending on the brand, the category, and the objective.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that later, because I wanted to ask you about kind of the legacy ad media, your radio, TV, print, online, magazines, newspapers, that kind of thing. How different is it? Because you were away for a bit, and I'm not trying to blow a trumpet, but you were early to digital, and you were very early in that space. So you go away for a bit, and technology moves faster than any of us can keep up with, and AI is now part of the fabric, if you like. But how different is your role now compared to what you were used to then, what you kind of learned with, if you like?
I mean, fundamentally, when I first got back, it felt uncomfortable. Let's start with the operational piece. Being in an office environment, seeing the speed in which internal teams are communicating. So they're communicating on WhatsApp with each other and with clients. They're inside software platforms like Teams. Yeah. They are emailing. They are being called. So the number of inputs for me as a 50-year-old man, learning to multitask with my own team operationally. So that's kind of piece number one. Yeah, okay. Getting up to speed again with that. That's number one. Yeah. Number two is the plethora of tools that are available now to make me operate more effectively and faster. Now, again, the creative process, I'd love to sit back and think and muse and have ideas. And actually now the ad world demands that we're moving quick, because you're briefed quickly, the client needs the response quickly, we need to get the campaign live quickly, and we need to get the results quickly. So the internal process itself, you've suddenly got to get up to speed with those tools. And then, given my role of overseeing the Saudi team, I'm then working with creatives who are individually each using a plethora of different AI-based tools. It's not one tool, it's multiple tools that work for them and help them execute, whether that's creating AI-based video, or whether that's delivering Saudi scripts, whether it's generating voiceovers. Every aspect of our business has very quickly been touched by AI, and we have to embrace it. It's a fantastic, it's not just one tool, it's a fantastic new world.
It's an armory.
It's an absolute armory, but with that comes challenges as well, because the same as when I set up Hug in 2010, we're experimenting, we're learning, we're trialing, we're trying to work out what actually is helping us. And at the end of all of that, you can argue, I mean, if we think about creative execution, we've all seen more and more AI-generated creative.
Well, this is where I was going to go, actually, but you've already gone there, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we can all see ourselves, can't we? What is AI and what is not AI? And I'm still making peace with this or trying to understand this. I think discerning customers want to consume things that are authentic.
Yes.
Not just products, but visuals that need to be rooted in insight. And I feel like what we're seeing is we're seeing creatives create visuals of people that they're trying to make not perfect now. So actually the art is not just the creation. We can create anything very quickly. We now need to create and then make it more authentic. We need to add freckles. We need to make sure it visually feels like someone that's sitting next to me, for me to then, at least I'm talking from my perspective as a consumer, it would be interesting to hear a 20-year-old's perspective. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're okay with, generic visuals. But I would argue, and again, it's a moment in time, we're going to get better and better at the execution.
Yeah.
And with that, we already see it. There's a blurring between what's real and what's not real. And as long as it resonates with me as a human being, then I can believe it, trust it, and ultimately make a purchase or make a decision based on what I'm seeing or engaging with.
It's so interesting that and I appreciate you being open about this, because, the speed at which you have to work now compared to, those long kind of lunches and, spitballing, and you don't have any of that anymore, do you?
There's no long lunches. No.
There are no long lunches.
Short lunches.
And no free lunches.
Short lunches on the go.
A wrap if you're lucky.
A wrap, yes.
So it's so completely changed. And yet, I feel as though, imperfection is the key. So it's kind of like the usual rules apply. It's about being, I can't stand this phrase, authentic, but you know what I mean. Being, as you should be. Insights through, real data, being there, being human, culturally relevant, content that engages, tells a story. Those were kind of the rules before.
They're still the rules, and actually, I think what you described. Now I'm based in Riyadh. It's kind of what we call the rhythm. There's a rhythm to the way Riyadh operates.
The rhythm.
The rhythm.
The Riyadh rhythm.
There is a Riyadh rhythm, and that is, that's from, and it's different for everyone. But from waking up, it's the habits and the different personas you have at different times in the day. So, the feeling when we're trying to get to the office and we're caught in traffic, that's kind of one persona. The commute, the delivery of work, the wanting to go to the gym, the short stop to go and grab lunch. We're in slightly different mindsets at different times of the day.
Yeah.
And we can see that's reflected through social content that we can see in real time. So that rhythm that is physically existing is also being played back to us through social and being consumed in the same way. And it's interesting because, again, as a advertising professional, okay, how do we plant our messaging and our products on behalf of our clients within that rhythm to be relevant, authentic, useful, engaging? So it's incredibly complicated. We certainly don't have all the answers. And again, we're working it out and we're experimenting and we're using data to see what works and what doesn't. But it is no longer a linear process in advertising where we have an idea, we produce something, we put it somewhere, and we get results.
Yeah.
You know, we're iterating, we're optimizing, we're sometimes creating multiple pieces of creative or copy to see what works hardest. And if one's not working, we'll drop that and we'll start iterating and making more. So it's operationally, it's incredibly challenging.
See, I'd never thought of that before. I hadn't thought about kind of tracking the day through social media, through a rhythm method, if you like. That had never occurred to me. But I can see how that, I can kind of see how that looks. But I don't know how you apply advertising principles to that to match it, or how you get, you talked about planting there, but it's planting, but it's also being accepted, isn't it? Because advertising needs to be acceptably placed to get that positive result.
It's got to resonate. It's not about being accepted. It is, we all have certain needs. Probably all of us drink coffee. Which coffee brand I choose to drink in Riyadh is going to be influenced by a brand that feels close to me, a brand that I like the way they're talking, a brand that feels like it could be my friend. That's it. Let's go back to that's at an awareness level. Mm-hmm. I'm then going to go there, and they need to deliver on their product promise. So is the in-store environment right? Is it my kind of people? Do I feel good? And does it taste good? So we're creating a kind of online persona as a brand. We're engaging a consumer, and then we've got to deliver on our promise one way or another. And that is a kind of typical customer journey, isn't it? Discovering a brand, wanting to try it, trialing it, making a decision, and then coming back and repeatedly using or engaging with that product or brand.
You see, inherently, I want to push back on that because I'll do it, and then I'll tell you why I actually can't push back on it. Then I've realised that you've just beaten me. But anyway,
okay.
No, but it's important because I always think, take coffee for example. I'm a coffee fan. You're a coffee fan.
Yeah.
I don't buy any particular brand of coffee, really. I might get a recommendation and I'll go and try it and I'll think, oh, I really like that, I'm going to try that. And then I'm on to something else because there are lots of things to taste. And, life's short, so I think, I'll try that and I'll try that and I'll try that. So I'm probably a little bit brand agnostic, but I'm still taking recommendations from people and I may be influenced in another way by a piece of advertising or a piece of brand content that I may not have realised I've seen. So there is an effect there, I'm saying. And I was trying to fight it, and I couldn't fight it very successfully. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's probably about, for you as a coffee drinker, what you described is you're quite a specialist, aren't you? For you, it's about taste and probably...
Well, it is, but I'm saying, I'm not. By the way, can you stick around for a little bit longer? After the news?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so because we're very close to news, but I'm not immune. I think I'm immune to. I'm not having advertising tell me what to do. I'm immune to that, but I'm not. But I have to admit,
of course you're not.
I've just come clean live on the radio, Tim. Thanks very much.
That's all right.
We kind of went off track there. We spent a lot of time talking about social media. I want to come back to that and the importance of digital. It is the lion's share of spend, unsurprisingly, as it is everywhere. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about strategies and how you approach people, which we kind of touched on. But we're in an omni-channel age, I read. That's a quote that I read somewhere. Hyper-local was a phrase that used to be used, approaching people in the right way. And it was always put forward here. In radio terms here, you would be like, oh, the traffic on Sheikh Zayed Road, and people can relate and all of those things, I guess, are things that you employ. But are those approaches that kind of still hold water? Are they still part of the rule book, if you like?
Absolutely. Again, communication starts with the target audience. Who is your target audience? Yeah. How do they... I guess now we know a lot more about people. So it's not just about their age and socio-demographic. We know how they think. We know what they watch. We know how long they spend time doing things. So we can actually profile our potential target audiences a lot more clearly.
You know what I watch?
What do you watch? Oh yes, we absolutely know what you
know
watch.
what
Yeah, or we know what someone like you watches.
Yeah,
we might
okay.
not know what Tim specifically watches, but yeah, a man of your pedigree and age.
You could make a guess that he watches guys build cars on
Yeah,
car shows.
absolutely.
Educate, yeah.
So yeah, back to your question. It starts with the target audience. We think about the mediums they're consuming, and then we're into what are we going to create that's going to connect with them, engage them, get maximum time with those individuals to elicit the response that we want. So I guess the answer is, yeah, all the same rules apply. It's just the selection of channels and the proliferation of channels available to consumers is a lot wider. So, yeah, if we go back to that, back in the day when TV, you deliver a spot on TV and it reaches millions of people. There are times of the year, if we think about Ramadan that's coming up, there's very high TV viewership in the Arab world around key series at key moments in time when the family gather. So we still have some of those specific moments, a bit like the Super Bowl. You know, why do people spend so much money on the Super Bowl ads? Because it's the biggest TV audience in the world. But if we come back to the day-to-day and we think about digital, Tim Elliott could be on X, he could be on YouTube, he could be on Instagram, he may be... He has different interests, he's got different personas at different times in the day, and we need to plug into all of that somehow and get your attention and convince you to do or buy what we want you to. So it's really complicated.
I'm slightly frightened by
I'm frightened. I'm frightened, and I work in the business.
Having different personas at different times of the day.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because it's such a... I don't have any great knowledge of advertising. I'm kind of unaware, but I'm happy to be that, so I can kind of learn from you this morning. But I don't have any expertise at all. I don't really understand the acronyms. You hit me with a couple of acronyms when we were sat outside before coming in here this morning that I want to bring up with you.
Yep.
The first of those was ASMR, and I said to you, okay, and I'm Googling furiously while I was talking to you. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response is what that stands for.
Yeah, and
that's what you're going for in advertising.
I mean, it's one of the
things. Yeah.
The interesting thing is we just worked on a pitch over the last 2 weeks, and it's the first time that I saw ASMR included as a mandatory for the type of content that this client, who is an FMCG-based client, wants to deliver. What is ASMR? It's about sensory. It's so you see people whispering into mics, or you see people scratching boxes, and it elicits a certain level of engagement with an audience.
The definition, you're exactly right, but this is the Google thing, a tingling, relaxing sensation often triggered by specific sounds or visual stimuli. So it could be that thing that makes the hairs on the back of your neck
absolutely.
go up.
It's something that really has a physical impact on you that elicits your attention to engage with something. But I think the interesting point is brands are now requesting this as part of the content formats that we need to produce. And that was not there 3 years ago or 1 year ago or even 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And with that, we now need different skills and specialisms in order to deliver on that.
Do you get a brief like that, and I guess some people would be like, where do I start? And others would be, there's a challenge. And
well, for me, the first part was this is a really progressive client that is really looking how they can stand out from their competition. So that's a really good sign. Then we're into, okay, what do we know about this? How are we going to produce that? What exists? Does content that's ASMR already exist within their category? What's the best practice? And then it's back to the learning process. It's back to us experimenting, creating, and the beauty of digital, when we put it out there, we can get validation whether what we produced worked or not.
And you get that validation really fast.
We can see. We get it really fast. And if we didn't get it right, We know we didn't get it right. The client knows we didn't get it right, and we've got to go and improve.
And then you can adjust. It must
Yeah.
be refreshing though, and somebody, takes. I often think that there must be clients in advertising who just play by numbers, and it may not be the most interesting content to produce. I know you can't comment. I'm looking at your face there, but there are people like that.
Yeah.
But when you have a client that is truly after something creative, something really eye-catching, and
Yeah.
they're open to ideas,
Yeah.
that, I guess, really unlocks that kind of little bit extra creative process.
Absolutely. I think, I love nothing more. We would call it the challenger mentality. So a client that is ready to break the category norms, that could be through the message they deliver or the key idea that they have or the way they communicate. When a client comes to you with a brief like that, that excites creative people. When creative people are excited, they spend more time thinking, creating, they put more energy into the process, and hopefully the end result is that much stronger. It's not always the case. Again, some creative doesn't hit, and others that you don't expect really resonates. But I would much rather have exciting briefs from clients that are challenging themselves to beat their competition than brands that play it safe.
Yeah, well, I mean that's kind of the question, really. Look, you have been away by your own admission for a little while. Instagram is part of everybody's day.
Yeah.
I think is it the dominant social media?
It's
one
not,
of them, I suppose.
It's one of them, but in Saudi Arabia, TikTok and Snapchat are far more dominant than Instagram.
Okay.
And it's it's a shift in the type of content that the younger audience want to consume. So they're after reels and stories, so slightly longer form. Instagram, by default, yes, there are stories and reels within it.
Sure.
But actually, it's a bit more niche and specialist in its nature.
Okay.
So.
But it's still about
Absolutely,
the video
yeah.
short, isn't it? And
Yes,
the reel.
absolutely.
And I always kind of think if somebody like me is asking, somebody like you about reels, that's pretty much accepted and in the mainstream, isn't it?
We could
I
call it
suppose.
mass, yes.
It is kind of mass. So that's a great way to get people to engage with content, and algorithms work to deliver what the belief is that you need to see or want to see. How is that? How do you view that? Coming back into kind of the advertising world, where that's such a dominant feature.
So I think you've talked about a few things there. You've talked about the customization of content around an individual's preferences within a specific channel. So we talked about Instagram, and we talked about content being played back to me, becoming more customized to my needs and wants. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing, and actually it's kind of self-fulfilling as to why social has grown so incredibly well. If I'm I'm not having to sit and change channel, I'm just digesting. I mean, of course, this comes with challenges as well that we can talk about, but if everything being played at me is things that resonate with me and I want to see and consume, it's a bit like an addiction, isn't it? I'm going to keep going. So,
well, even if they're not the things that you want to consume, you just scroll past them.
Absolutely, and when you scroll past, it knows you've scrolled past, and it stops serving that to you as much. So, on one hand, what does that create? It creates a super specialist kind of individualized viewing experience in whatever interest area you're into, that a brand can find a way to plant itself within. So selfishly, as an advertising guy, I know what you're into. I can think about how I insert my brand there. But conversely, we are all well aware that youth are spending more and more time on their devices, and that's not a great thing. That's not a healthy thing at all. They're interacting less physically with their friends. People are becoming more isolated. In certain markets, rules are being introduced to stop very young ones spending time on
Yeah, that's
social.
right, that's
So
right.
I think that's a real consideration and a responsibility the advertising industry has. And
It's hard to find an answer to that
it is,
at the
because
moment, and I'm not going
I'm
to
right
push
in
you
the middle of
for
that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You're aware of the issue.
I'm absolutely aware of the
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a bridge that needs to be crossed yet. But I wonder if maybe the social media bans, potential social media bans for children up to a certain age, that might be a sensible move in my head. But I'm
Yeah,
still not sure.
I think it probably is a sensible move. Yes.
Off topic again, of course. Let me come to something else that I wanted to. I was talking about just now, and that's legacy media. So we talked a lot about digital and social, and kind of ruminated on that. But the importance of things like this. I mean, we're kind of both radio, streaming, but radio, TV, outdoor media, print. Newspapers, magazines.
Yeah.
All the traditional forms of advertising, particularly where you're based in Saudi Arabia. I know. Print is still a very important part of the mix, and I guess radio and TV, particularly with Ramadan around the corner, is the same. Am I right thinking that way?
Yeah. And again, there is a very clear role for all media. I love radio. It's the intimate one-to-one medium, isn't it? It's
kind of still
it's
is,
hyper localized. It's relevant to me and how I live my life. I guess the shift in radio now is we're currently streaming, and therefore
Radio became TV 15 years ago. Cameras appeared. I'm still confused, but it has gone that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But back to your question, if I think about Riyadh as a city, or any city, there's lots of traffic, people have dwell time sat in their cars, outdoor is incredibly powerful. So if we think about TV, I think the shift in TV is centered more around programming and moments. So if we think about major sporting events, if we think about Ramadan as a key season, when people's behaviors change to gather around and watch that event.
Right.
So it's kind of more focused around cultural moments or sporting moments or, a speech from a king or a president. But TV has a very key role to play in mass communication, for sure.
There's less appointment viewing now in terms of, a new TV series that starts. But it always strikes me that the appointment viewing that TV does offer, things like a World Cup final or the Super Bowl or, the, dramas that people watch in Ramadan.
Yeah.
They seem heightened to me. They're more of an occasion.
Yeah, we could almost term that experiences, couldn't we? We crave an experience. So the same way that I'd love to go to the theatre to see something, I also want to gather around with my family for an appointment to watch the World Cup final.
That's a good point. If you think back to, I think it was Lay's a few years ago, the potato chips. Lionel Messi, with his friends around watching a football match, the potato chips come out. That seemed a really smart, very simple, but very smart piece of ad creative to me.
Yeah, and I was in the UK when that was on, so I haven't seen that ad, so I can't necessarily comment. But I guess it's
the style.
I know the style, and I guess there could be 5 different brands using football as a platform with groups of friends gathered to enjoy an experience. Yeah. I would imagine all 5 of those, some will resonate and some won't. So where does that bring us? It's back to when we're thinking about communication, we need to be super insightful, we need to be original, we need to use humor, it needs to be very relatable. It might use celebrities like Lionel Messi, but we need to get all those elements right for that commercial or ad to really hit with me. We can't just sit people on a sofa with a packet of Lay's watching football and hope that that's going to shift consumer behavior.
It was kind of an uplifting approach, but you're right, and you hit on one element there. And I apologise for bringing that up, but it felt omnipresent here. But there was a great element of humour in it. There was a little kind of joke thing between friends. So you kind of hit on it there. Just kind of impressive not having seen it, but there you are. Well done, Mr. Baker. One thing I wanted to ask you, you're in Riyadh, and there's a theme park in Riyadh. What's it called? Is it Beastland?
Beastland, yeah.
Beastland. So that's Mr. Beast. So
Yeah.
that he is, I guess, by some metrics, the biggest internet personality.
Yeah,
Certainly
the world's biggest YouTuber.
biggest YouTuber.
Yeah,
Okay.
single biggest earner on YouTube globally.
Yeah. So that's a great illustration of the power of social content, but it's also a great illustration of the experience, the experiential aspects of what you do day to day. That something that's online is now perfectly normal and accepted offline. It's like, let's go to Beastland, and what's at Beastland is another question. But does that surprise you? Is that something that you expected to see?
It doesn't surprise me, but it shows the power of the content that exists online. So,
Right.
Mr. Beast would have started as a YouTuber. Well, he created
pranks
content,
and
doing
stuff.
all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff, and then he's evolved his programming. So he's become his own IP, his own intellectual property, his own production company for what his brand stands for. And because his audiences have grown to such an extent, he can then take that offline and drive audiences to attend physically. And I think that's what we're seeing more and more. We're seeing the kind of moments in popular culture starting online and then coming offline.
Yeah, okay.
Which is interesting. Whereas previously, it certainly would have been the other way around. We physically see something or experiencing something, and then we might go online to talk about it or review it. Now it's coming the other way, which is interesting,
isn't it?
It's very remarkable, yeah.
Just to utter the sentence, Mr. Beast theme park, Beastland,
Yeah,
Riyadh.
yeah.
To have that's a remarkable step.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I haven't been there. I don't know if you've been there, but I mean,
have
obviously
been there. I have been there. I have been there. Yeah, it's
fun?
It's a theme park that's in line with his online challenges. So Mr. Beast is about setting physical challenges.
Yeah.
And you can physically take part in those at Beastland. So it's replicated the online experience. But yeah, the branding, the feel. I remember as I walked up to Beastland, all the people who were working there at the entrance, as I walked up, they all started clapping. There were, imagine 40 Saudis welcoming me to Beastland with a round of applause. And I was like, oh, this feels great. I want to be here. I'm excited. But I guess
that's smart.
They're taking the online persona and they're making sure they deliver that physically through the experience as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's good.
It's remarkable. Look, we've got a couple of minutes left. I should finish off with what you're doing now. A number of things, I guess, getting to grips with, a changing dynamic in advertising, all of that stuff, getting back to grips with working in a team, technology, everything else. I know you're launching a new oncology centre that you're proud of, but, what are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, look, so BPG regionally is very big as an agency. We're number one in Kuwait. We're solid and big in UAE.
Right.
In Saudi, we've only been operating a couple of years. So we're very much in growth phase. We handled clients in all different categories. Onco clinics in particular, we're really proud of. So as you said, it's an oncology clinic. It's the first private oncology clinic to complement what already exists, because all of the healthcare historically has been governmentally led. So for us, we've created the brand, we've created all their communication, we've led on all their PR, we're managing through the line all aspects of how they communicate. We'll be helping generate leads, handling their GEO, their generative engine optimization, sorry, I had to pause there. So not SEO,
Nice.
which is
GEO.
GEO.
Okay.
SEO was traditional Google
Search
listings.
engine optimization. Now
GEO is making sure we're getting the brand in the context of AI.
okay.
So it appears at the top of Google or
This is kind of
any-
next stage
It is next stage.
advertising.
It is next
Tech
stage.
thinking, isn't it?
And the fact I even had to look shows I'm still learning. There.
I think
Look at my
that gives
notes.
us an opportunity to come back to at some point because what was it?
Geo.
Gen Engine
Geo.
Optimize.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
I've tried to stay clear of the acronyms, but we end on one, and that's not a bad place to end, I
Excellent.
think. Tim Baker is the president of Arabia for BPG. He's based in Riyadh, joining us at Mirror Business FM this morning. It's been fascinating. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. Really enjoyed it.
Good to have you here.